Please enjoy the following WinnieMac Media Production presentation.
Today with me at WinnieMac Schools we have the Mr. Hanson to answer some questions that people might have about eSports and what they're getting their kid into when doing that. Mr. Hanson, just as I'm glad you came out tonight. I say that like it's night, it's the afternoon, but how are you doing today?
I'm doing great today. How are you?
Well, I'm doing fine.
Good.
Glad to have you on. What is eSports exactly?
Well, E would be for electronic, I suppose, and sports being, an activity that you can compete against other people. I'm really excited to have eSports here at WinnieMac this year because it reaches kind of a niche group of students, right? These are not necessarily students that are athletic, that are used to participating in teams, that are used to competing against other teams in that sort of athletic space. But it gives those students an opportunity who may have talents in video gaming to show off those talents and to compete against other schools and to show the prowess that they have, for lack of a better word, the prowess that they have at those particular video games.
Right.
So I'm very, very excited about this opportunity that WinnieMac has to do this. This is a relatively new program. It's new to WinnieMac this year. Other schools in the region have done this last year, maybe the year before. I don't know how long ago it started, but I actually heard about eSports from a former student of mine, which it's just weird because this former student of mine is now the math teacher at my old high school, which is just a little bit strange. But he is an eSports coach there,
right.
Doing really good things over at Norman County East, and I'm just excited to go head to head against him, especially this year, and see how we do with that. So, yeah.
Well, that's great. You mentioned during that about how it's to get these kids who don't primarily do like activities like sports and like they typically play video games to show off their talents. Now, that might cause trouble because for parents that might concern them with making them think this is just an excuse for their kid to play video games.
And I've gotten that question before too, from my own mother actually, because she was just I was talking about it and she was listening and are these kids just playing video games? And yes, to an extent, we are playing video games, and we have this kind of culture around video games are a distraction, or video games are taking us away from our academics or whatever. And some of those things can be valid concerns. However, I used the word talent before. And some of these students really do have a talent for this. It's not something that you're not just born with a controller in your hand being able to mash buttons and do good things, right? You have to work at it. You have to get better at it. There's a skill in the hand-eye coordination that it takes to do that. There's a skill in problem solving and trying to solve those problems in those video games. There's a skill in working with a team and being able to communicate well with your teammates and to just work with that team to do good things with those games. And so, yes, it's video games. We're playing video games. But there's so much more to it than that I think in the end it becomes a really good thing for these kids that aren't necessarily doing other activities in the school, that have an opportunity to do yes, video gaming, but in a more structured kind of way, where they're competing against other schools, where they're working on their skills, where they're working with their teammates to try to develop this better. And I just think that's a really good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And another point I'd want to touch on is in your previous statement talking about your ex-student who's now a math teacher at the old school you went to. You mentioned how you were excited to go head-to-head with him. And I'm sure many people are excited to get into the competitions, but I'm sure this will bring up another point about how we expect our students and our team members to act towards each other and our opponents.
Are you concerned that I'm going to trash talk my former student?
Well, to an extent,
To an
yes.
extent, yeah. No, that's not going to be happening. And that's another thing I mentioned about the structure of what this is, because these teams have coaches. The coaches are facilitating this. What's interesting about me is I've not played any of these games before. I have no frame of reference on how to help you as students do better at these games. So in that sense, I'm pretty poor coach, actually. But I am tech savvy and I'm highly organized. Those are two skills that I can pat myself on the back for. And that is why I'm doing this, because even though I haven't played the games, I can help kind of facilitate and organize these teams and organize the Discord, organize the whatever. But getting back to the point, speaking of Discord, there are rules there, right? There are rules in our Discord server, kind of this chat space where we organize, for those of you that don't know what Discord is. And we have rules there, and we have rules that students have to follow, that if we're competing against other schools, if you start trash talking, if you start breaking the rules of the game at hand, whatever that game might be, then we as coaches, we talk about it and we decide, disqualification, question mark, or maybe that particular student who's at fault needs to sit out of the next meet or match or whatever,
Right.
And maybe get benched a little bit. And that's why it's important in some cases to have alternates or substitutes or whatever, because that might happen. And speaking of which too, I appreciate having this opportunity for this, like I said, niche group of students, because having an activity for them to do also encourages them to be eligible, right? Because eligibility is also important. Keeping up with your schoolwork is also important. And if students aren't eligible, then they are benched, and they have to rely on a substitute or alternate to take their place in their team. And if there isn't one available, then that team that has to forfeit then that match or that meet. And that's unfortunate, which puts a lot of, I guess, pressure is the wrong word, but it encourages them to not trash talk and follow the rules and stay on top of their schoolwork.
Right. Good sportsmanship in general.
Exactly.
All of that.
Exactly.
And you mentioned not playing any of the games, and just that's fine in itself. I'm sure a lot of coaches don't really play football anymore. But what exactly are the games that we are planning on playing in eSports this year?
This program is through a company based out of Grand Forks called Fenworks.
Right.
And so the Fenworks company has an official list of games. They're the ones that organize all of the matches, the meets, the tournaments, the state tournament, if we're lucky to get that far. It's hosted in Grand Forks. And the official list of games that they have on their list, there's two titles that are 5 versus 5, and that's Valorant and League of Legends. Now, unfortunately, we didn't have enough interest here at Winnie Mac to form a League of Legends team, but we do have a Valorant team, a very, I think, well-stacked Valorant team with some alternates built in, and I have high hopes for that team this year. For the 3 versus 3 game titles that we have, that's Fortnite and Rocket League.
Right.
And for Fortnite, we actually have 4 varsity Fortnite teams. When I say varsity, I'm talking about 9th grade through 12th grade. Varsity teams and 2 junior high or JV Fortnite teams. And for Rocket League, also 3 versus 3, we have... We had such a high interest in all of these games from students this year. There's like 29 students that went out for eSports this year, and I'm trying to remember. I think there's 3 varsity Rocket League teams and 2 JV or junior high Rocket League teams, and so that's the 2 3 versus 3 choices. We also have 2 individual, like single person choices. One of them is Super Smash Brothers Ultimate,
Mm-hmm.
which is some of these other games are like cross-platform and free-to-play games. This Super Smash Brothers is specific to Nintendo Switch,
Mm-hmm.
so we don't have as many students going out for that because they needed to have had the game already and the Nintendo Switch already,
Right.
or plans to get it. And then the other individual one is chess, which I just think that's a fun one. Up until the state tournament, chess is played on chess.com, just played online against those other opponents that they're matched up with.
Right.
But when you get to the state tournament, you play on a physical board, which I just think is interesting, considering that this is eSports, playing on a physical board. But chess in itself is a great skill building kind of game. I have played chess before. I haven't played the other titles, but I have played chess before. I know the moves of all the pieces. I have no sense of strategy. And then the last game that students can play, this last one is non-competitive. It's Minecraft, and so there's a Minecraft server that everyone can just get on and start building things together and kind of network and meet people and get to know people across the region and just lovers of Minecraft.
Right.
So those are the titles.
Not everything has to be competitive
That's true.
to be fun,
Exactly.
Like Minecraft, I think that was a really good choice. If we were going to pick a non-competitive game, I think Minecraft was a very excellent choice.
Yeah. I don't know of any other titles that Fenworks is planning on for the future. Like I said, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate is new this year, but I haven't heard any rumblings of other games to come. So, but that's the list of titles that we're excited to work on this year.
Right.
Yeah.
And I heard that the Winnie Mac eSports program, or the eSports program in general, received a donation from Garden Valley Technologies.
Yeah, Garden Valley is sponsoring us this year. Part of their sponsorship is going to buy jerseys for everybody, official Fenworks jerseys with our logo and with their logo. So we'll be really excited to, if we get to the state tournament, to really rep those jerseys and really show them off, and so we're really appreciative of that. And the rest of their donation is going to buy different accessories for students, gaming mice and headsets and whatever else we can get for the money that we have left over, which is a pretty cool thing.
Right. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today. I thank you for coming out. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And you have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Don't really good at sign-offs, but I hope all of you have a good rest of your evening.
Yeah.
This has been a Winnie Mac Media Production broadcast.